Locomotive Safety Standards Part 229, Subpart C, Safety Requirements, Subpart D, Design Requirements, Module 4. Module Jeff Supply FRA safety standards recognize D43 exhaust battery gases, 45 general condition, brake system, 46 brakes general, 47 emergency brake value, 49 main reservoir system, 51 aluminum mains wires, 53 brake gauges, 55 piston travel to 57 the foundation brake gear, 59 leakage, 2029-61 draft system, suspension system, 63 lateral, 64 plain bearing, 65 spring rigging, 67 truck, 69 side bearings, 71 clearance above the top of the rail, 73 wheel set, wheel defect, and tire defect, 75. Subpart C overview, electrical system, current collectors, third rail shoes, emergency pole, shoe, insulation ground of metal parts, doors cover parts marked with a danger, hand operated switches, jumper cable connection, motor generators, internal combustion engine, safety cutoff device, venting, ground fuel tank, safety hangers, engines, steam generator, safe work pressure factor, steam generator number, pressure gauge, safety valves, water flow indicator, warning notice, cab equipment, slip, side alarm, speed indicators, cab floor, passageway, locomotive cab noise, pilot, snow plow, engine plates, highlight, headlights, auxiliary lights, cab lights, audible warning device, stand over the intermittent locomotive, conspicuous, measuring, auxiliary, external lights, event recorder, sanitation, general requirements, sanitation, servant required, subpart disease, designing requirements, body structure, multiple unit locomotives. Alright, protection against personal injury. Exposed with the fan gear of the moving part with the high voltage equipment and circuit breakers, etc. shall be located with the down head of the location equipped with the guard with the potential here with the prevent injury for the person made with the accident coming in contact with the aforementioned with the item during the normal business of the performing their duties. For example, it would not be reasonable for the FRA to require the shroud guard over the air compressor drive shaft if the drive shaft is not protected or guarded by the auxiliary rack. Exhaust and battery gases. Evidence exhaust gases not vetting of the properly can be seen trace black suit with a carbon residue near opening of the car body door with the inside of the engine room compartment. If the evidence of the exhaust of sulfuric gases cannot be additionally tested, may be required with a gas static dragger testing system. Consult with your specialist. General condition. The section serves its level purpose. The regulatory restatement is similar to 29.7 of the Locomotive Inspection Act. Required locomotive parts, but the prudence needs to be in the proper condition to safely operate. It's a catch-all section that provides the regulatory link with a credible defect with a work condition that rarely occurs, but nonetheless presents the unsafe condition. It is provided with the motor power and equipment inspected for the regulation of their broad discretionary powers in terms of the report defective and locomotive note that refer to the RISPC defect codes. Brakes general before each trip of the brake system on the locomotive shall function with the intent of the meaning that every component of the part of the system automatically independent or etc. shall be function properly. Emergency brake valve, including one person cab, each road locomotive shall be equipped with an emergency brake valve accessible for the crew member other than engineering personal position of the cab on car body type locomotive. The brake pipe valve shall be attached to the wall adjacent to each of the exit door. Multiple unit control cab locomotives operated with the road surface shall be equipped with an emergency brake valve accessible for another crew member with the passenger compartment of the vestibule. The words emergency brake shall be legibly stenciled, marked near each valve and shall be shown with the adjacent badge plate. No crew members will supply personal with the notorious placing cab supplied with the other item to the cutout air with the drum of the emergency brake valve located by the inspector. Making sure of these items the obstruction with the depending on the circumstance with addition by sear coolers and over the fixture with the mount with the near the brake valve of the truck within its operation. Main reservoir. All main reservoirs should be equipped with a safety valve that should lift the pressure in the reservoir right at the 15% above the MWAP set with by the CMO, excluding multiple unit locomotive built prior to the January 1st, 1981. Each locomotive has pneumatically actuated system power control shall be equipped with a separate reservoir air under the pressure that be used operating with the power control. The reservoir shall be provided with a means that automatically prevent the loss of the pressure vent with a fail of the main air pressure with a storage capacity of not less than 3 capable complete operating cycle with the control of the equipment to be located with a non-exposed with the damage. Governor shall set with the compressor for the unloads of loads of 5 psi above with the below with the MWAP with the set by the CMO. Each compressor governor is connection for the automatic brake system shall be adjusted for the compressor will start with the main reservoir pressure not less than 15 pounds per square inch above the maximum pipe pressure fixed in the carrier but then will not stop with the compressor until the reservoir pressure is increased with at least 10 pounds. Note the exemption of the switcher locomotive ratio for the FRA regulation calculate for the required with the minimum brake pressure for the non-U with the accessance of the means bolt of the number 3 with the non-issue. Also for the mean with the compressor must begin with the low main reservoir pressure drops at 105 at the end. They must not be stopped unloaded until the pressure main reservoir reaches at least 115 psi. Brake gauges, all mechanical gauges, all of the devices provide with the indication of air pressure electronic with the U with the engineer to aid with the control braking with the train locomotive shall be located so that they may be conveniently read with the engineer's usual position during operation of the locomotive. The gauge of the device shall not be more than 5% of 3 pounds per square inch in area, whichever is effect. Piston trouble, the brake shoe shall clear with the wheels where the brakes are relieved. The piston trouble may not exceed 1.5 inch left within the maximum strip of the maximum PT. Piston travel shall be inch within form 49A form. Minimum brake cylinder pressure shall be 30 psi. Brake gear, all levers and beams and the hang of it shall be free with the crack for the brake for the scurly fat for the brake rigging with the scurly pins and castle nuts. Cotter pins must be with a screw with the favorite nut. The cotter pins are not required. Brake shoes shall not overlap the wheel tread more than 3/8 of an inch. Leakage from the main air reservoir related piping may not exceed with an average of 3 pounds per square inch in air minute with 3 minutes after the air pressure has been reduced 60% of the maximum pressure. Brake pipe leakage may not exceed 5 pounds per square inch per minute with the full strip of the application of the maximum brake pipe pressure with communication brake cylinders clip of the brake shall remain with applied for at least 5 minutes for the leakage of the control of reservoir related piping. Mechanically operated control of the may not exceed with the average of 3 pounds per square inch per minute with the 3 minute with the system utilized with the operated electrical power. Equalizing reservoir is not allowed unless the system is capable of maintaining pressure for the control valve with the freight position C232-105D. Drafting system couplers may not have cracks, brakes outside shaded air with a depicted with adjacent sketch from the pulling face of the knuckle. Free slack is excessive 1/2 inch, broken crack gear, broken crack yoke, broken craft draft gear, no anti-creep top operated lock lifting. Must be securely firm on the horn bottom of the operated rod eye. Coupler pin retainer missing. Bear in mind when the part 231 all applied with the coupler height must be between 31.5 and 34.5 at the top of the rail. The lateral motion, except the drive of the bullet tube of the toe with the uncontrolled lateral motion between the hub of the wheel of the box, between the box and pedestals, or both of the aim of the pair of the wheel of the next 1 inch on with the non-powered axle or friction bearing powered axle with a 3/4 inch of all the other powered axle with a total uncontrolled lateral motion may not exceed 1 1/4 inch central axle with 3 axles truck. Note several measurement points of the made up and necessary depending on the axle arrangement, locomotive type. Spring rigging. Locomotives equipped with a swing hanger truck with a spring plank with a must-not contain the safety within the safety hanger. Critical function of the swing hanger that is stabilized with a locomotive carbide during certain operation conditions. Swing hangers are designed to swing like a pendulum when the locomotive is moving around with the curve that is misaligned with the track. Most locomotives elliptical springs have been 3 spring, but in concept of the regulation that means that the following no more than 1 long lead broken, no more than 5 or 6 smaller lead broken, and an outer coil of the spring with the salve that may not be broken. Equalizer hanger bowl gib pin may not be broken or cracked or broken. As coil spring may not be fully compressed. The locomotive with the reset. Shock absorber may not be broken, leaking clearly formed droplets, oil, or other fluid. Trucks. The male center plate shall extend with the female center plate of at least 3/4 inch on the truck's constructed with the transmission traffic half of the root of the center plate. Center pin of the male center plate shall extend into the female center plate at least 1.5 inch. Maximum loss of motion. Center plate assemblage may not exceed 1/2 inch. Each locomotive shall have the device securing arrangement with the prevent truck and locomotive body from separating cave of the derailment. Truck may not have the loose tie bar with the cracked or broken stem with the casting motor spine and suspensing lug. Equalizer hanger, gib, or pin. The truck frame may not be broken or have the crack and stress area that may affect the structural integrity. Side bearings. Regulation does not necessarily address some of the side bearing arrangement found with the newer locomotives. However, conventional side bearings are applications as side bearings may not be contact unless designed to do so. Side bearings of the pair intent for the head of the clearance but should not be concerned with the contact with the clearance when it's over between the side of the bearing surface. Maximum clearance of the side bearings may not exceed 1/4 inch on each side with a total of 1/2 inch on the both side of the tip with more than 2 side bearings or even on the same rigid superstructure. The clearance of the one pair side bearing on the same ridge of the superstructure shall not exceed 1/4 inch on each of the total of 1/2 inch on even on both sides. Other than side bearings under the same ridge of the superstructure may have the 1/2 inch clearance on each side with a total of 1 inch both sides. Wheel sets. Except for the wheel variation condition, the condition of the lever that improve the improper axle loading with the wheel, so for the regulation that doesn't improve with the wheel variation on the wheel, same axle quarter inch. However, the problems arrive with the wheel variation curve between the two different wheels. Except for the same 3-axle, with in some case with a different 3-axle, for the most convenient method of measuring a wheel. The variation inspector is used with an index screw with a method for a job handout. Wheel and tire defects. Refer to 229.75 for discussion. Current collectors, pantographs shall be given the range that they can be operated with the engine normal position of the cab. The pantograph that automatically arrive with the release. Then have the automatic locking device assure when the down position. Each pantograph operating with the overhead trolley wire shall have the device locking with the grounding in the lowest position. They can be applied or released on with the position with the operator have a clear view of the pantograph of the roof of the mounting of the roof. Third rail shoes. Locomotives are equipped with both and third rail with the overhead collector with the third rail shoes should be the energized with the yard station with the current collection with excessively with the overhead conductor. Emergency pole and chute installation. Each locomotive with equipped with the pantograph with operating with the overhead trolley wire with the head of the emergency pole suitable with the operating pantograph with the length of the entire pole with a safety handle with the part of the pole with which can be safely handled should be marked with the indicator of the pole should be protected with the moisture when and not in use. Each locomotive equipped with the third rail shoe shall have a device insulating with the current collecting apparatus from the third rail. Insulation grounding in the metal part with the all ungrounding the non-current carrying metal part is subject to become charged shall be ground and thoroughly insulated. Cover plates and high voltage. All doors and cover plates guarding with the high voltage equipment should be marked with the danger high voltage with the word danger for the normal voltage carried with the part of the protected. Remember that more than 150 volts is considered high voltage. Hand operated switch. All hand operated switch carrying currents with a potential of more than 150 volts might be operated while under the load shall be covered. Shall be operated with the outside with the cover. Means shall provide with the show of the web of the switch open and closed. Switches shall not be with the operated with under load, but shall be legibly marked with the word must not operate under load and with the voltage carried. The jumpers. Jumper cable, the connections between the locomotives shall be located and guarded, provide with sufficient vertical clean, but they may hang with one end of the free end less placed with a receptacle block with design support with the free end cable and jumper connections between the locomotive that may not have any of the following condition. Broken bedley shaft insulation, broken plug with receptacle terminals, broken protruding strands of wire, motor and generator may not have any of the following conditions. Be short of ground, throw, solder, excessively show with coming apart, have overheated support bearing, have excessive accumulation of oil. Safety cutoff devices. A fuel line shall have the safety cutoff device shall have all the following features located with adjacent fuel supply tank with another safe location. Closed automatically when tripping, can be reset without hazard. Can be hand operated with clearly marked location on one side, on the inside of the cabin, on each of the exterior side of the locomotive. The venting and grounding fuel tank vent pipe may not be discharged on the roof nor over the between of the rail. Fuel tanks over the relay with the piping shall be electrically grounded. Engines, which end of the engine has been shut down mechanically, other problem is to sync with the warning with the notice to give the reef and shut down and have the continuously attached with the engine start and control until the repairs have been made. Wheel slip and slide protection shall be provided with the locomotive with the engine displaying with a warning notice whenever required in the 229.11.115B. Wheel slip device, excluding the multiple unit locomotives, each locomotive for the road surface shall be equipped with the device for the provide with the audible visual alarm in the cab of each of their slipping or sliding wheel of the powered axle under the power of the two or more locomotives coupled with the multiple the remote control of the wheel slip and slide of each of the locomotives shall be shown in the cab of the controlling locomotive except for the provided 229.9 when the equipped locomotive may not be dispatched from the road surface continue with the road surface the following the daily inspection unless the wheel slip the protective device whatever the type of dysfunctional each powered axle animated power would function in each powered axle if were under power with effective January 1st, 1981. All new locomotives capable of being used for the road surface shall be equipped with a device that detects the wheel slip slide of each of the powered axle with the under power of the device shall be produced the audible and visual alarm in the cab. Speed indicators December 31st, 1980. Each locomotive used for the controlling locomotive the speed with except for 20 miles per hour should be equipped with the speed of the indicator which is calculated with the plus or minus 3 miles per hour of the actual speed of the 10 to 30 miles per hour with the accurate 5 plus or minus per hour at speeds above 30 miles per hour and clearly readable with the engine in normal position under the light with the condition. Each speed indicator requires shall be tested as soon as possible after the departure means of the speed testing action section equivalent procedure of the regulation indicated that the controlling locomotive this mean with the trailing locomotive multiple units considered would not necessarily need to be equipped with the speed indicator. Cabs seats shall be securely mounted and braced. Cab doors shall be equipped with the secure with the operable latching device. The cab windows lead the locomotive shall provide with the undistorted view of the height right of way of the crew through the normal position of the cab part 223 applied. But the cab shall provide with the proper ventilation with the heating arrangement maintained with a temperature at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit 6 inches above the center each of the seat of the cab Container should provide with a carrying fuse for the torpedo. Single container may be used with the portion separate fuses from the torpedo. Torpedo shall be kept in closed metal container. Engine compartment. Cabin compartment shall be free of the debris of the obstruction, tripping of the slipping of the fire height floors. Also should be treated, provided secure with the fitting aim of the cabin compartment behind the car body. Use the storage supply for use of the railroad personnel over the areas must be kept free of the debris and other safety hazards. Safety chains. Locomotives with open-ended platforms coupled with multiple control limits of the road surface shall have the means of safe passage between them. No passage is required through the nose of the car with the body of the locomotive. There shall be continuous barrier across the full width of the end of the locomotive. There are continuous barrier between locomotives. Pilots and snow plow with the end plate with the after January 1st, 1981. Lead locomotive shall be equipped with the end plate with the extent of the bolt across both rails, and pilots or snow plow with the minimum clearance above the rail of the pilot's snow plow end plate shall be 3 inches and the maximum clearance through 6 inches. Headlight. Each lead locomotive of the road trip with the tab of the headlight with a produce of at least 200,000 candela with the locomotive can shift with the road trip with the regularly required with the run backward with the portion of the trip of then pick up with the detached portion from the train with the make terminal movements. It should also have the rear headlight with the produces 200,000 candela. Each headlight should be arranged with illuminate person of at least 800 feet ahead and in front of the headlight. Each locomotive can shift with the yard trip with the head, 2 headlights with the 1 located with the front, and locomotive can shift with the 1 with the rear. Each headlight shall produce at least 60,000 candela and should be arranged with illuminate with the person at least 800 feet ahead and in front of the headlight, and headlight shall provide with a device to dim the light. Auxiliary lights, the section 10 of the standard of the installation. Auxiliary lights, triangle configuration. Auxiliary lights are required with the lead locomotive. The operator's speed is greater than 20 miles an hour over 1 more public highway crossing. Auxiliary lights are in addition to the conventional headlights described on the previous slide. Auxiliary lights, 2 white auxiliary lights shall be placed at the front of the locomotive with the form of the triangle with the headlight with the auxiliary light shall be at least 36 inches from the top of the rail with except for the multiple unit locomotive. Control cab locomotives for some of the replacement compromise with the integrity with the car body, otherwise in private with auxiliary light size of the multiple unit locomotive. Control cab locomotive shall be at least 24 inches above the top of the rail. Auxiliary light shall be placed spaced at least 36 inches of the part of the vertical disc from the headlight with a horizontal axis for the horizontal lights and 60 inches or more. The auxiliary light shall be placed spaced at least 60 inches apart of the vertical disc from the headlight with a horizontal axis for the auxiliary lights at least 60 inches. Auxiliary light configuration. Each auxiliary light shall produce at least 200,000 candela with the auxiliary light shall be developed with a horizontal within 15 degrees longitudinal center line with the locomotive burns steady with the flash and the approach of the crossing of the auxiliary light range flash the flash such they shall flash alternately with a rate at least 40 flashes per minute and most 180 flashes per minute with the railroad operating rule for the standard proceed with the use of the flashing light with the public of the highway grade crossing. Flashing feature may be deactivated automatically but shall be capable of the manual activation and deactivation from the locomotive engineer. Auxiliary light exemption with the auxiliary light shall be continuously illuminated immediately prior to the during of the movement of the locomotive except for the provided by the railroad operating with the timetable. The special instruction left with the exemption is disapproved by the FRA for the railroad may exempt the use of the auxiliary lights so specifically public highway grade crossing by the designated with the exemption railroad operating rule timetable or special over the exemption with the auxiliary lights specifically the public grade crossing with the disapproved of the state caused by FRA associated administrator of the safety or any of the FRA regional administrator after investigation by FRA opportunity for response from the railroad. Any locomotive subject to the Part 229 with a built with a before December 31st, 1948 is not regulated with the commuter with an interstate with the passenger service shall be considered the historic equipment accepted with the auxiliary light requirements. Movement of the locomotive defective with auxiliary light. Lead locomotive with only one unfailed with auxiliary light must be repaired with the switching of the trailing position before the departure plate with the initial terminal inspection of the crowd with the train. Locomotive with only one auxiliary light have with them failed with the depart with the initial terminal must be required repaired not later than the next calendar day inspection required in 22921. Your lead locomotive with 2 failed with auxiliary lights may only proceed with the next place where the repairs can be made with the movement that must be considered in 22999. Auxiliary lights grandfathering. The 2 types of auxiliary lights have been grandfathered with condition with the 2 types of the file with the oscillating and strobe. Any lead locomotive equipped with oscillating lights discovered the previous slide with the orders of the installation of the locomotive prior to January 1st, 1996 was considered compliant. Any lead locomotive equipped with the strobe lights as described on the previous slide with the operating speed with no greater than 40 miles per hour with considered in compliance until the locomotive is retired, rebuilt, whichever becomes first. Cab lights. Each locomotive shall have the cab lights which will provide the sufficient illumination control instrument with the meter gauge that enable of the engine crew to make an accurate reading from the normal position in the cab. Cab light should be located with the truck that maintains light with the shine with the on these power with the requiring illumination does not interfere with the crew vision. Track signal. Each controlling locomotive shall offer to have conventionally located light with readily turned on and off by any of the person operating. Locomotive provides sufficient illumination for them to read with the train over the timetable. Cab passenger compartment to have the adequate illumination and locomotive horns. Each locomotive shall be equipped with a horn that emits a sound level of 96 decibels at 100 feet for the locomotive direction in its direction of travel. Horn operating level should be located with a convenient location relation to the engine normal seated position cab. Note: noise measuring instrument required for the quantifying of the noise level of notifying your specialist with respect with the locomotive horn is not emitting required decibels. Standards: excluding multiple units, each locomotive should be equipped with the operating stand with the deposit with an 8 stand on each rail on the front with the first power operated wheel set in the direction of the movement. Event recorders and train operated faster than 30 miles per hour with the have an insert with the event recorder with the lead locomotive. The event recorders equipped with the locomotives must have a notation from the remarks section form 6180-49A with the documentation locomotive event with the recorder equipped on the left of the event recorder purpose of the technologically allowing the locomotive lead position only if the recorder functional properly. If the is equipped, notation is not necessarily on the 49A event recorder. Unique identification and the purpose of the event recorder in section 229-135 of the train included the locomotive with a group of locomotives with or without horn, with or without cards, lead locomotive, the locomotive with whose cab of the crew operating with a train with a cab control locomotive with a multiple unit or multiple unit locomotives coupled together. If the first locomotive proceed with the direction of movement, the duties equipped with the lead locomotive may be met with an event with the recorder located elsewhere with the lead locomotive provided with the seventh event records mounted with the recorder with the required data if those located in the lead locomotive. Defective event recorder locomotive on which the event recorder has been taken out of service discussed with the following slide with the maybe to remain with the lead locomotive until only with the next calendar day inspection. A locomotive with an inoperative event recorder is not deemed within proper condition, unsafe for the operator with a non-compliant locomotive with the 229-7-9, and notwithstanding with the other requirements of the chapter, inspection, maintenance, testing of event recorders is limited requirement set forth in periodic inspection 229-25E. Event recorders. Removal of the railroad may remove the event recorder from service if the railroad knows the event recorder is not measuring with the recording with the data specified in 229.5 but it shall remove the event recorder from service of the railroad. Remove the event recorder from service of the qualified person from the shell call of the railroad recorded the date of the device. Remove the service of the 49A with the under the remarks section. Event recorder design will allow the locomotive to assume the lead position only if the recorder properly functions and not record with the behalf of the removal of the service of the note in 49A. Event recorder preserving the accent data for the purpose of the section of the term of the event recorder include the locomotive the mounted recording device design with the recording information concerning the function of the locomotive of the train regardless of whether the device meet the Sebastian invention event recorded in 229.5. Event recorder accident report with the FRA with any of the locomotive equipped with the event recorder involved with the accident with the report with the FRA of the railroad. Even the locomotive shall extend possible to extend with the consistent safety life of the property, preserve the data recorded with the device with the analysis of the FRA with the preservation requirement of the permit for the railroad to extract and analyze the data provided with the original with the first order with the accurate copy with the data retained with the circular of the custody that shall not be utilized with the analyzed any other purpose except direction of the FRA National Transportation Safety Board with the preservation requirement that shall expire 30 days after the date of the accident unless the FRA or the board notify the railroad in writing that the data are desired for the analysis. Event recorder, pending on the rulemaking underway that will require the new locomotive the new date undetermined to have with the crash board of the memory module capturing up to 26 events. The event records even the magnetic tape that replaced with the conforming unit that making the distinction between the conventional locomotive and the multiple unit and the passenger and freight. Cab sanitation applied with the Class 1 railroads, both passenger and freight, with some exemption all lead locomotives. Cab sanitation, otherwise applicable sanitation standards, and contents cab sanitation terms of above mains and some of the railroad provide with the alternate sanitation facilities for the yard office for the office of the building, along with the right of way beneath the OSHA standard. Certain of the present of the condition of the toilet washing facility, FRA will not intervene with the OSHA as the jurisdiction. FRA will inform of the otherwise applicable sanitation standards. Cab sanitation, daily inspection report and repair for the locomotive. The condition of it do not comply with the parts 229, 137, and 139 may be the answer for the time. Daily inspection report with electronic form. Cab sanitation, equip the locomotive with the retention mate with the railroad, remove the toilet facility with the downgrade of the locomotive placing the bolster, slug surface provided with the cab that's not intended with the occupied railroad are not permitted to remove the toilet facilities on their other locomotive regardless of the show except for the downgrade locomotive June 3rd, 2002. Railroad shall also retain with the paint tin with the toilet facility with all locomotives given of June 3rd, 2002. Cab sanitation, new locomotives. All locomotives built after the June 3rd, 2003, except the locomotives designed built exclusive of the switching operation. Commuter service shall be equipped with a sanitation compartment accessible to the cab employee without existing on the outside, out of the doors for use. Or prohibited from using the locomotives built after June 3rd, 2003 do not comply. Cab sanitation. Service of the lead locomotive of the cab shall be the use of sanitary. All of the components of the sanitary of the compartment to function with the intent of the water shall provide the sufficient quantity for the permit flushing. Toilet system should be the chemical for the treatment of the wave that is present. There shall be no black that prevents wave for the evacuating the bowl. All occupied trailing and switchers transfer the locomotive of the cab shall be sanitary. Cab sanitation. See cab sanitation matrix for further discussion. End of module 4.